skilled workers, and when they arrive in Canada, when they arrive in Manitoba,
Yeah.
what are the programs that they can do? What are those things? Like we have discovered that some of them, technically,
Yeah.
they are artisan. Let me put it that way. They are artisan. They may not have gone to school in Nigeria, but they came with their family here and they have some skills, right? And skills in mechanics, engineering, and all that. What are the programs that can help boost their skills? For them. I mean, once they are here, so they are here as workers. And what are the programs that are in the system for them to learn and to acquire, so that they will be useful. It will enhance their productivity in Manitoba, because we want them to contribute to the economy. We want them to be part of the community. But what is the government doing to help them to enhance this? Like some other people too. Maybe you will be able to add to what I'm saying. And some other people. Let me just give an example.
Yeah.
You go to Springfield.
Yeah.
Springfield, outside the city.
Yeah.
You will see some Nigerians there that are mechanics, they are auto mechanics, and they are doing some other things there. They may not have a formal education.
Yeah.
But what are those parameters? What are those things that the government will be doing for them to have the skill to acquire more skills in order for them to boost their
To advance their skills.
advance their skills.
So they don't have the formal papers.
Yeah, they
but
don't
they-
have the
yeah.
formal. They came with family members as part
Yeah.
of it. You list the people that come with you, and maybe they are dependent, and they come with family. They
Yes.
don't have the formal skills from Nigeria, and they are here, and they just they don't want to be redundant. So what are those things that they can do, or what is the government? How is the government going to help them to acquire those skills so that they will be useful?
Yeah. So in the prior role that I was in prior to this, I was the Minister for Economic Development and Jobs.
Yeah.
Now it's called Minister of Economic Development and Investment and Trade.
Yes.
So I know on their site that or their department can assist you in the pathways for a person who has, I guess, not as high skills to advance their skills, right? I know because under my department we have we have a fairness commissioner in terms of like recognizing foreign credentials, and I know one thing that the feedback that I've gotten particularly from your community is that I know some have gone to Manitoba Start, but one thing I do realize with Nigerian immigrants that come here, and I'm really happy with this, they're very, very highly educated.
Right.
Yeah.
But so how can we turn that education into having them gainfully employed to the field that they've been educated with, right? And so I know that's conversations. I'd work the Immigration Advisory Council is trying to address those gaps, because it's not just the Nigerian community, it's all these immigrant communities when they come here, right? They come here and then they realize they're not working in the field that they were educated.
Yeah.
And this creates a lot of anxiety, mental health for the individual, for the family, and we don't want them to struggle. Like, as a government, as a province, as taxpayers, we want people to succeed, right? So we have to address that, and the only way we're going to address that is having conversations like this on the table. Me taking these fundamental notes down, so that when we walk away from this meeting, the plan of action will be, and let me be clear, it's for, obviously it's for everyone. All those who are immigrating here, we want to make sure that they succeed, right? And the thing is, we know that these things are not going to happen overnight. But the thing is, right? These things are not going to happen overnight, but they're gonna be expedited with conversations like this, and then putting these conversations into action.
Excellent.
Right?
Excellent. Yeah.
So is that fair for me to reply that way? Because I wish, I wish that, I'll just speak for myself. I see a lot of people from the Filipino community, from the Indian community, right, who are highly educated, and they do jobs. And I'm respectful of those jobs because we need those jobs done.
Yes.
But we know that they are better qualified to do other jobs. So I've always asked myself, even prior to being in politics, Wilson, I've always asked myself, if Manitoba needs more doctors, nurses, engineers, then why are they working at other jobs
Right.
that they should not be working at.
Right.
This is before I was a politician. Now that I'm in the seat,
Yeah.
right? The feedback, I'm getting the same feedback, but the only way I'm going to do my job properly is hearing from folks like yourself,
Yeah.
right? So that I'm at the table, so I can communicate this within government, right, with my colleagues, and then we can implement that, put that into action, and then you know what? At the end of the day, it's a win-win-win situation for everybody,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Mr. Reyes, I just want to. So you're saying that you're committing to, like, just so we understand clearly, that the Immigration Task Force is committing to, making sure that every professional that comes in here as an immigrant would have equal opportunity to practice in their chosen field, like what they used to practice before. So is that something that the task force is prioritizing with this?
It's one of the core mandates, right? We have core mandates with the Immigration Advisory Council, and you know what? Yes, I'm committing to trying to facilitate people with skills so that they can be recognized, so that they can be gainfully employed. The one thing I'm going to tell you is that I'm realistic too, right? I wish these things could happen overnight, but the thing is that we're going to have to talk to every regulatory body as well, because as a minister, I mean, I'm going to have those meetings and talks with those organizations, because they're the experts in their fields. I'm not, right? But it's all about communicating, and it's just a matter of, you know what, the one thing is that not just our province, but every province, even globally, there's a shortage of labor, right? And we're not only competing with other provinces, we're also competing with the UK, the United States, Australia. So we have to make sure that as Manitobans, as a minister, that how do we make it more attractive for them to come here, right? And one of the things that I've heard from your community, right, is that how do we retain people? Well, the thing is, family, right?
Yeah.
If you have family members here, then there's probably more of an increase of a chance for them to stay here, right? If they don't have family here, or if they're being assessed because the family points are not as high, right? So that's one thing that I've learned as a minister, like the point evaluation system that I've heard from, in particular, the Nigerian community, right? They've said so the IAC may have an opportunity to evaluate that point system, right? Because at the end of the day, our task is to improve and enhance a program that actually we created. So a PC government created that back in '98. So it's like a flagship program for immigrants. We want to welcome more immigrants here. We need to.
Right.
My dad was an immigrant, right? So, but yes, I mean, back to your question, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, I want to make sure that our council, myself, help try to facilitate those who are highly educated with those skills and be gainfully employed to go into their fields. But what I can say is it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take a lot. It's going to take a lot of work.
Yeah, we think it's still possible too, because in the US and the UK, we know that doctors are able to practice from Nigeria there easily as compared to Canada. So not just doctors, they're accountants, finance people, like they're able to travel, practice. So I feel like it's good that you've committed to doing that, and there's like progress going towards that initiative.
We've started, right?
Yeah, that's a really good thing.
Yeah.
I also want to touch on your point about immigration, and family is very important.
Yes.
I graduated last year as an international student, and also Nigerian youths here.
Yes.
We know that to keep us here, we need to bring our family, because home is where family is.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like, are there any steps you can tell us today that going towards, making it easy for us to bring our families here? Because I'm here alone. I don't have any of my family. So it's hard. So it's easy to say, oh, I live in Manitoba because I don't have any ties here.
Yeah.
But we want to retain our Nigerian youth. We want to retain our community. So we want to know, like, what are any steps you have taken in the last couple months or years, and how we can, retain, bring more of our family here too.
Yeah. So one thing that I can tell you is that with regards to having families here, right? The one thing that we control in Manitoba is called the Manitoba Provincial Nominee Program. So the Manitoba Provincial Nominee Program is meant to be an economic driver, having folks immigrate here with skills, right? Now, there are many other immigration streams that falls under the federal government, right? And they have more programs than we do because we only have that Manitoba Provincial NAMI program. So there are other streams I'm going to let you know because this is the one thing that I have learned as a minister. One thing I do want to tell you though is that our Canada-Manitoba immigration agreement has not been renewed since 2003. So we are in the process of, knock on wood, renewing it so that we can have some discussions and agreements in place to have more people immigrate here. And again, I'm glad that you're raising that issue because it's an issue that's been common. So if it's common, then as a minister, how do we facilitate that process where we have people like yourselves, your international students who come here and then, they miss their family. One of the reasons why I moved back to Manitoba, I went to school in Victoria, British Columbia, had my daughter out there, me and my wife, and then, we want to come back here because our family was here. So we actually came back from Manitoba. We came from beautiful British Columbia, nice weather, right? Well, we came back here because this is home, and home is where the heart is, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the recognition of international degrees and experience.
Yes.
We have like our vice president here.
Paul, thank you for coming. I appreciate it.
Somebody like that, I have to pass through the process
Yes.
of certify as a chartered accountant CPA here.
Yes.
And we have a number of Nigerian professionals who came into Manitoba with international degrees and experience, and when they get here, they may not be able to go straight to their field, like you mentioned, and they have to begin again or start maybe in the middle, and such degrees are not recognized. And this experience of asking people, do you have a Canadian experience?
Yes, I hear that a lot too.
How would I have a Canadian experience if I don't start from somewhere? We have doctors, we have lawyers, we have architects, we have even the draftsmen, if you want to put it that way, skilled professionals, engineers and as well, who have international degrees, and they are not able to practice in Manitoba or in Canada. And there is this talk about labor, the labor market, like I was watching over the news last night, that there is need for more labor in the market and more professionals in the market. But we have people, they are just waiting. These are waiting to be tapped for certification and all that. So we want to how can you help us?
How, right?
Yes.
So we have an office. What's the formal name of the office again?
FRPO, Fairness Registered Practice.
Fairness Registration Practice Office, right? And that's where individuals can go to that office and inquire about I'm educated, I have this formal education, I want to go into this career, what is and they can solve what is they actually communicate with the regulatory body, in this case CPA.
Yes.
And so that's where they can go, and I can provide you that information afterwards.
Okay.
After this meeting, I'll provide that to you.
Okay.
And if there's any, like I said, if there's any gaps, let me know, because again, as a government, we should know if there's any, if there's any information that we should know to improve the process.
Right.
Yeah. In addition to that question, I have I know of some community members that just left Manitoba to Saskatchewan because they are medical doctors, right?
Yes.
They've been here for 4 or 5 years,
Yeah.
just trying to get into their field. I know one particularly that was very frustrated. He had to skip the dishes job. This is somebody that have practiced as a medical doctor for close to 10 years. Coming to Canada, he's doing skip dishes. How frustrating and depressing that could be. And he was able to move to Saskatchewan and he got a job. At least I have 4 community members who have moved away. I understand we have this, but I think I once went here when I came, some 13, 15 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
The fact to remain that the various regulatory bodies
Yes.
have their standard,
Yes.
and it's difficult most time for them to break through professionals. I have engineers who came here, practicing engineers, they have to go back to UFM to start from scratch, I know somebody who's a geologist, he had to go back to UFN to do a 3 years course for him to practice. These are people that are willing to work in the faith. So I don't know if there's anything apart from this office the government is doing to work with, merge this office with the various regulatory body. The Society of Engineers, the Medical Association, the pharmacy, so that they're able to bridge this requirement. Same people from Nigeria will say they go to UK, they don't have to go through the rigorous. My younger brother is currently in the United Kingdom. He came here and he worked 24/7 for 7 months. He was tired of the calls, right? And he had to go back to UK. He's practicing. So if there are things they can bridge with this body so they don't have to go through the years of exam, the rigorous, and the exams are not cheap, by the way.
Yeah, not cheap. Yeah.
They are not cheap.
Yeah. So you know what? I've heard that as well, and I know that there's like over 30 regulatory bodies that fall under this department. And I think one of the things is that as a minister, because there's 30 of them, and we can't tackle them all at once. But I think with community consultations and if there's a group of accountants, a group of lawyers, or a group of whatever profession they're in, we should have a process where I as a minister in my department evaluate the process of that regulatory body on how I should know what the process of a person that is a physician that got that education or experience when they come to Manitoba, like what is the process for them to become a qualified physician in Manitoba, and also versus the process in Saskatchewan. No, Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Right? We and that's why I wrote down here jurisdictional comparisons, because we always like to compare with other provinces, right?
Yeah.
So one thing that what you can say is that I'm very action oriented.
Mhm.
So you coming here and you meeting with me, and Wilson knows this, I'm not just gonna talk to you for the sake of talking.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm writing stuff down because I want to put stuff into action, but I'm also, like I said, realistic, because I'm gonna have to find out how long does it actually take to change these processes. Who do I have to talk to, right? I'll give you an example. We've had a pandemic, right? We have a shortage of nurses,
Mhm.
right? We have a lot of international educated nurses. We have a lot of international educated professionals, right? Like you said, Wilson, I feel you. They're here. We have a labor shortage.
Right.
They want to work.
Yes.
So what's the gap? But that's why we're talking. That's why me as being in the government, have to action and say, hey, why are they not able to work? And this is me having to communicate with those regulatory bodies,
Yes.
right? Which is, like I said, there's I think 31, but I think there's more. And they all have their certain rules and regulations on how to become a doctor. And if I ask them a fair question, why does this individual, when he goes to Saskatchewan and he can become a doctor right away, but like what's the difference between us and Saskatchewan?
Right.
It's a fair question, right?
Yeah.
So it's something that I can find out.
Mhm.
All right.
Yeah.
And lastly,
Yep.
I know we are short of time. I just want to chip in the introduction of diverse ethnic curriculum for the postgraduate institutions.
Yes.
Originally I speak Yoruba. That's my language.
Yes.
She's Edo.
Yeah.
She's from the north and all that.
Oh, I have all
And,
three here, eh?
We are, and we are building a formidable community together in Manitoba.
Yes.
With all these ethnic groups.
Yep.
So we are looking at how is it possible for some of the histories to be taught at the advanced level in terms of training for people to know what is obtainable back in from different routes. I'm not even talking about Nigeria. I'm talking from people from Philippines, Africans, and all that other countries. That's is it possible to include in the curriculum for the advanced education, or a kind of form of training for people that is open, maybe organized by the government for people to come and okay.
Well, one thing I tell you that first of all, anything is possible, but the thing is, how do we get there? right?
Mhm.
And and I'll be honest with you. I'm not sure of the process on introducing courses because
Right.
that's actually at the realm of the post-secondary institution, right? Or any institution, right? So as government, I don't know what the legislation is or the process is of we can always mention it to them. I mean, when I meet with post-secondary institution presidents,
Right.
I can just simply ask them, or get my department ask them how do you form new curriculum, new courses, and in this case, you're talking about say African studies
Yes.
or Asian studies,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And I'm sure other institutions have that throughout the world.
Right.
And I know your community is growing,
Right.
and there's got to be always the rationale why would they put this course in, in terms of dollars and cents. Will there be enough revenue generated from this? Is there demand?
Demand.
But guess what? It has to start somewhere, right?
Mhm.
With the question,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So is that a fair answer?
Yes.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
So.
Sorry.
Just on that note, I just want to make a quick comment.
Yeah.
So
This
what
is Madur Sharma. He's my chief of staff.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right.
So usually universities have their own senates, and they are the one who decides what courses need to be offered. And I know Jordan can help me with this too.
Yeah.
When I was in university, we started Indian politics course.
Right.
So that was a course on Indian politics. So what I did, I signed an application with 40 students
Okay.
to take it to the department and to the senate that there are students who want to take this course, and they offered it for 1 semester.
Okay.
So it's more of university level because we are funding partners,
Yes.
but they do have their institutional autonomy.
Okay.
Okay.
That's helpful.
So that's from first-hand experience right there.
All right.
So I guess you'll have to just communicate it with people in
I think
Nigerian students,
Right.
right?
Do you have anything?
Yeah, I do have something, but it's still on the part of like the recognition for foreign
Sure.
skilled workers. I was wondering like if the government can have like a program where these trained professionals like they get training for a year or 6 months, because that might help them bridge that gap to have like maybe Canadian recognized degree or exactly. So maybe the government can fund a program that may accept certain amount of foreign trained nurses, because that's one of the major problem now with healthcare, and then train them for a year and then send them into the workforce. That can be also a way that we can bridge that gap in terms of like, and that can be done for other professions too.
Well, I know the professions that are in demand, like nurses, so we already have like a program for that, where they offer some funding for them so that they can cover their childcare, their transportation, so that they can take these type of courses. But we're always open to suggestions. We also know that that the Immigration Advisory Council, I know some members have brought up in terms of gaining experience. Why doesn't maybe we can talk to the employers in having them do on-job training while they're getting that experience, and then eventually becoming a full-fledged qualified employee in that field. So we're always open to those discussions because we've already done that with international educated nurses.
Right. So we thank you so much for this time, and I'll be looking forward to meeting you again. And I know there will be a couple of other things to come. We have events.
Yes,
in our
absolutely.
community. We have our Independence Anniversary coming up, and fortunately, it falls on a Saturday. So
Okay.
we have already sent out our letter to
The premier?
we are sending the letter to the premier, but we have sent another letter for our court services, just like with you,
Good.
to let her know to Quinta some of the things we do
Yep.
in the community
Yep.
and how she'll be able to navigate, and the government will be able to support us. Then our family picnic is coming up.
Yep. You just let me know.
Okay.
I know you did that.
Yeah.
You let me know.
Jollof rice and
I'm-
Yeah.
The one thing I'm very disappointed though, I wish
Yeah.
Nigeria made the World Cup, but Ghana did, eh?
Well, that's
Right?
fine.
Yeah.
We don't have to be there all the time.
Yeah. But so because every time I meet my other African nations, they go like, "Hey, what's going on with your Super Eagles, Mister?"
You know what?
Right?
We are big brother, but
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
don't change to others.
Yeah, I guess so, yeah.
You know one thing?
We gotta cheer for Canada
now. Manitoba African Cup of Nations. Our youth back to back for 2 years now
Yeah.
won.
yes.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh, good.
With Manitoba African Cup of Nations.
You know,
They
I'm
won
very-
last year, they won the other year, and this year again, maybe we might invite you to come and see the final.
Well, I was gonna say I
Yeah,
like
defending
sports because
champions.
my kids play sports. My daughter plays university basketball.
Mhm.
My son plays football.
Right.
So I'm a big fan of sports. So anytime that I can support,
Right. So
Let
we'll
me
let you
know.
know it's coming
Yeah.
up this summer.
Good.
So thank you. very
good,
much.
good.
you.